Hello and welcome back to Drama Investigator. Today we're going to be investigating the unsolved murder of Alexis Sharkey. There's a lot of things that have been brought to light by not only members of the public, but people who knew her, and things about her relationship have also been exposed. More and more just keeps coming to light. It's still an ongoing investigation, her autopsy hasn't been released yet, and police officials are keeping sort of quiet about it. Apparently people are saying that the police might have already solved the case, or are about to. So Alexis Sharkey was a beautiful 26-year-old Instagram model that was found dead in Houston on November the 28th this year. Alexis's death was a shock to the world as she was found naked on the side of the road. She'd been married for just under a year and was an upcoming Instagram influencer. Now I believe she had around 20,000 followers before she passed away, according to Social Blade. And then of course when this started receiving media attention, her Instagram obviously took off because people are like, what the hell? Everyone wants to do their own little investigation and find out what happened to this beautiful young 26-year-old. Alexis had so many dreams and aspirations. She wanted to be a successful businesswoman. She had a lot of opportunities in front of her, and like all murder cases, it's just not fair. Her Instagram profile states that she was a mentor, so she obviously had a very good mindset. People want to talk about how she was in an MLM or promoted it. I don't think it's appropriate to dive into someone's beauty drama when someone has lost their life, in my opinion. She was always on her Instagram stories as well, which is actually a good thing because police could look at her last Instagram stories to try and find out what happened to her. Her last Instagram post was on the 23rd of November, which is 5 days before she was found dead. She would post to Instagram every few days, so she wasn't big on posting pics every day. It was more so her Instagram stories that she was always on. So in her last post, she visited Tulum in Mexico. I'm not entirely sure who she went with though, seeing as she was in the process of filing for a divorce against her 49-year-old husband, Tom Sharkey. Now I tried to follow Tom Sharkey's Instagram account. I'm 99% positive that this is his account, to try and get some more information, things we could potentially look at and analyze, and because it's private, there goes those potential leads out the door. So unfortunately I wasn't able to get my hands on that, but without a doubt I can guarantee police will already be looking into that. What I was able to find, however, was a comment left on Alexis Sharkey's Instagram account on her last post. Obviously this was a fan who followed her before she passed away. It states, she said she was getting a divorce. Her husband had tons of weird photos of him, deleted all those and just left the ones of him and her, and changed the captions. He also tried to refuse an interview but ended up doing it, and then said never contact me again. It's just too weird. So the fact that he was going through deleting photos, I just don't know how to feel about that. If your significant other passed away in a horrific way, your first action would not be to delete photos on your Instagram account, unless of course you have something to hide. So everyone is looking at him, and for a lot of murder cases, police do tend to turn to people that were closest to the victim, so it makes absolute sense. And the fact that there's not a search for a random person that we know of going on also suggests that police believe it was someone in her personal life. Now, a security camera of a business across the road from the crime scene actually spotted a car next to the ditch where Alexis's body was found. So, were drugs involved? Was she drugged? Was it an accidental drug overdose? Was it smothering? The autopsy results haven't been released to the public yet, but the fact that she had no visible signs of wounds to her body is so confusing and dodgy. The fact that she was naked as well, like someone definitely wanted to humiliate her by leaving her in that state, because if it was poisoning or a drug overdose, then why would they leave her body naked in a ditch? So her body was found 4 minutes from where she lived with her husband Tom, and it's interesting to note that she had allegedly told her friends that she was scared of her husband. She was only married to the 49-year-old for 1 to 2 years, and then she'd asked for a divorce. Friends of hers also said that they were told by her that he had choked her before, so she very well could have been suffocated to death, because as the news reports say, she had no physical signs of wounds to her body. Most people do believe that it was her husband that killed her. Maybe he allegedly wanted no one else to have her if she was filing for a divorce, and the fact that her friends literally said that she'd told them that he choked her. So people are also pointing out Alexis's friend Tanya, who spoke out in a news interview about Alexis, and how the friend had a huge lack of emotion. Now I know everyone handles the grieving process differently. If anything, sometimes when people talk too much or show too much emotion, especially if they're not family, it can mean that they've got something to hide. So it's not the quote-unquote lack of emotion that should be worrying people about this interview, although looking at it again, Tanya honestly doesn't sound that upset at all. However, I have found some things about Tanya that are questionable. Tanya said in this interview she loved being an influencer, but in an interview with Alexis's sister, her own sister said that she hated being considered an influencer, and apparently she wanted to be a successful businesswoman. Someone also commented on this interview, "I've heard a lot of bad things about this girl from people close to her. She's very vindictive and jealous," which again is questionable. It is an allegation, but it's questionable. She also doesn't look at the camera when answering questions.
How long did you know Alexis? Because I know her mom said she recently moved to Houston.
Right. She moved here in January, and we met, within weeks of her moving here. I was kind of looking for a new group of friends, and I brought this group of friends together, and she showed up to this dinner. And since that day, she's just been part of our circle.
What kind of, she's 26. I was telling you that I was scrolling through. It's kind of a deep dive. She just knew so many people. She was active. I was looking at this vacation that she and her husband had just taken, this road trip. She seemed bubbly and full of life to me. I didn't know her. How would you describe her?
Exactly like you did. She was always happy, always had a smile on her face. A lot of people looked up to her. She was just very, very positive. Always very knowledgeable, knew a lot about what was going on, loved being an influencer, as you can see, and sharing, tips and tricks about makeup and hair and fashion. If we needed her for anything to do with that, she was the girl to go to, for sure.
How did you meet her?
We actually met on Bumble BFF.
Oh, I've used it before and I've never had success. So she was a girl's girl. She was looking for friends when you met her.
Yeah, she was looking for friends, and she definitely found people that really, really loved her, truly.
And so kind of when was the last time you talked to her?
She was actually at my house on Thanksgiving. We spent Thanksgiving together with my family. And then we had made plans Friday to get together Saturday because it was raining. We were going to watch movies all day. And the last time I spoke to her was Friday around 6 o'clock was when my last text message was sent to her.
PM.
Yes.
And did it go unresponded? Did you hear from her? That was period the end. Okay. You thought everything was okay.
Yeah, I thought everything was fine. And then the next morning I woke up really early. I sent a text to the group of girls. We have a shared chat and said, who's coming over, movie day or whatever. Alexis would have been the first person to respond. If I'm going to jail, Alexis is the first person I'm calling or texting because I know she's going to answer within seconds. So I started getting a little concerned, and I said, this isn't normal. And so all the girls kind of got together, and we were like, okay, well, when was the last time you talked to her? When was the last time you talked to her? And they all said around 6 p.m. Friday.
And what was that conversation about, the last text message you sent her?
The last conversation I had with her, she was asking me what I was doing Friday night. And I said, well, my mom's in town from Mexico, so I'm going to stay home with her. And then we said, okay, love you, whatever. And that was it.
Also, it's important to note that Tanya didn't apparently know Alexis that long, so that could have had something to do with her not being super sad or crying in the interview. I also found out that Tanya works in the oil industry, and so did Alexis's husband. Could just be a coincidence, but again, something interesting to note. There's also been rumours that Tom and Tanya were having an affair, but there's obviously no hard evidence to suggest this is fact. So in the interview, Tanya states that Alexis had 7 close friends. A lot of those friends, according to followers of Alexis, said that that days after, some of those friends were out partying on their Instagram stories, or just didn't seem that sad that she had passed. Again, everyone handles the grieving process differently, so who knows? According to a YouTube channel, shout out to Red Rum Media, who managed to get their hands on the missing persons report from the police department, they showed this receipt on their channel. It shows that the first person to report Alexis missing was indeed her friend Tanya, and also a friend called Desiree. I honestly feel like the internet has been able to dig up a lot of stuff that police could potentially use, if they haven't already been looking, to help strengthen the case. Alexis's mother does believe her daughter was murdered. In an interview with Insider, she'd said, "I believe solely that she was murdered because of the manner in which her body was left. It just drives deep into the soul that something very malicious happened here, and I want to get to the bottom of it." Tom Sharkey has been receiving online death threats after this story broke. He also said in a brief interview with a news outlet, "She understood me. I understand her. We didn't fight when she left. I just told her she couldn't drive under the influence. She left anyhow. This is where we're at." He didn't elaborate on those claims, however. Apparently, Tom Sharkey has been previously married twice, and it's been rumoured online that those past relationships he had were very questionable. Now, with the information that has been gathered, people are speculating in the comments that she may have potentially had a heart attack due to an OD. Maybe whoever was with her got scared they'd get in trouble, so they left her in a ditch. Sounds like a possibility, but doesn't explain why she was found naked. So this is such a tragedy. Alexis was such a young, bright woman who had a lot going for her. Her friends only have the most beautiful things to say about her, and it's just not fair. So let me know your guys' thoughts about this in the comments.